I think it's normal for relationships, first of all, to argue, okay? But if you are looking at it a fight like yelling, name calling, and lashing out, I think that is very unhealthy. So what would be, I'm just gonna ask you and then I'll talk about it too, like your relation or your advice on communication.
I think if it's getting like extremely heated where people are like very upset, you need to like give it a second.
To calm down.
I heard something that someone said to hug each other without talking and just sit there for like a minute.
And hugging.
No talking and then talk afterwards. But you'd probably be too pissed off to do that in the moment.
Or if you're stubborn.
You need to give it time if you're super mad.
Yeah.
But for just normal communication, I think you just need to see the other person's perspective.
Yeah.
For a second, and it's kind of like a pride thing of who's going to say sorry first or who's going to do what first.
Literally.
So I think if you can be like joking about it and let that guard down, so someone can step forward first, then you can like
if a joke diffuses it, you mean? Yeah, Jordan always jokes if we're getting into arguments, and I am a stubborn person, so. But the one advice that I would give is anytime we got in an argument, I personally don't believe you should separate and go into different rooms. Sometimes people need space, of course, but anytime
you need resolution.
Anytime.
Like instant resolution.
You cannot wait the next day and say,
like
it's
going
fine.
to sleep with an argument.
I believe you need to solve it because the energy stays in your body.
And you have to say all the stuff you're thinking. Like, you can't have something linger in your head.
Exactly.
That's like a weed.
So anytime we get in an argument, we are literally laying beside each other, just waiting
for someone to say something.
And sometimes you might lose sleep, but it's worth it to solve it. And like I said, this is an argument, not a lashing out of angry emotion. You have to collect yourself in that moment. You know, I'm the biggest overthinker, and I'm stubborn. So, in our arguments, I'm literally in my head, just sitting there, trying to resolve it myself. But it's always resolved. So, give it time, always resolve it. And another thing I really like that you do is, and that I do, you don't view people as their thoughts. You always validate me, and it's good to validate the other person's emotions.
For sure. Even if someone's lashing out, like, that behavior isn't them. Like, it's just them at their worst. Like,
true.
That's why I think you need time if you're like red hot. Like, if you're mad, you need time so you can see it logically and get over it. Because once that person that's lashing out feels understood, then you can go somewhere. But if they don't feel understood, you are not going to have any progress.
That is the whole point of everything, is feeling understood. So you just need to really, I think it's important to just view people as, that's not them. People have weak moments, but you need to not look at them as that. And another thing is name calling. Like,
I don't do that.
Never. And
even in past relationships, I never do that.
Because then it's just you're disrespecting the other person, and
it gets to a whole different level with that.
So just like, if you feel really angry, just really try to breathe through it and take your time. You know, relationships take work, communication takes work.
That's another thing, is I think a lot of people think a perfect relationship doesn't have arguments or doesn't have issues. Like, you will never get away from that. Like, if you're a guy, like, you're never gonna find a girl that is perfectly mellow all the time. Like, it's not feminine energy. Feminine energy is very extreme in the happies and in the goods. Like, you're never gonna get away from that. You'll never find a perfect guy that doesn't have issues, doesn't get hot-headed sometimes. Like,
it goes both ways.
You gotta be very understanding of each person.
And
like, nobody's perfect.
Accept
There's
them
gonna be a lot of issues.
And just like work through those moments and not judge them and make that their whole being. Like, if Jordan made me my bad moods is who I am, then we'd be done forever ago. So I think just work through it and look at them as not their thoughts. And so, has spirituality impacted your relationship? Someone asked.
That's a good question. I think it puts more depth. Like, I would honestly never date someone that isn't at least interested in that stuff. Like, if there was someone that like believes in nothing and only science and thinks we're just in this one stagnant 3D reality or whatever, you just can't. I wouldn't be able to express myself fully to that person, my thoughts, because I'm so the opposite of that. So I think a ton more depth comes up. I think more opportunities to understand each other comes up. And,
opportunity, like thoughts are not.
The world is crazy. Like, you want to have someone that has a very in-depth outlook on life, so you guys can explore it together instead of some stagnant,
surface level,
boring
relationship
viewpoint. Like, your perspective's anything if you think. I'm not knocking anyone that doesn't believe in God. Like, I don't believe in God. But I think just finding someone that's on your level.
I agree, and
really big,
I
honestly.
think that
like that's huge.
I think it's really important that if you're spiritual, to have a spiritual partner, because in my past relationship, he was not spiritual, and you know, I was having my spiritual awakening, and it's like, you can talk so much, but the other person, you need to get value from.
Yeah, because then you don't feel understood too. You can't relate, and then naturally over time you'll just shift, gravitate away from each other.
And I definitely think it has impacted our relationships because we're accepting of each other, and if I have some crazy thoughts, if you have crazy thoughts, we just see each other on that level.
Yeah, because if you're into spirituality, you view yourself differently, you view life differently, so you can view people as not their thoughts. You can do those other things and give people space and time and understand more. Obviously, you can have those attributes outside of religion and spirituality. I'm not.
It's like,
I don't like religion to be particular, but
I definitely think it's okay to have disagreements and see differently on certain things, but I think the values need to be the same.
Exactly.
So this is besides the point, kind of, but me and Jordan were kind of like opposites in a way. Like, we would say that opposites attract, people say that, but our values are the same. Like, we handle life differently. Like, you're a risk taker, I'm comfort, handle situations differently, but the value of spirituality is the same. So I think that's really important to
at the
have.
core, there's a very similar energy.
And another thing with spirituality is that a big thing that I learned and took away from it is your thoughts are not you. So I, as an overthinker,
Untethered soul.
I was about to say Eckhart Tolle.
Oh, actually,
The Power of Now. But
that's true.
That's been a big help, because if I'm overthinking, and in the beginning of a long distance relationship, that can happen. And if I were to communicate my crazy thoughts, you're accepting of them and not judging them. If I felt like my thoughts were me, I wouldn't communicate them, and not communication, because it's not good for a relationship. So I think that helped us a lot. How to trust your partner. That kind of takes time.
I feel like trust is not on you. Like, me trusting you is on your behavior, it's not on mine.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people that I see in relationships, and it doesn't matter how they treat each other. Some people are just kind of untrustworthy. Some people are just kind of fishy. Like, a lot of guys, especially, of course, but there's plenty of girls that I've seen that are very, like, I would not feel like I'm in a safe relationship with them. That they would entertain guys, like, and a lot of guys would entertain girls, like, I mean, that's not everything with trust, but I think that's more of a thing you can see in someone in the early days.
True, like intuitive.
And I wouldn't get in a relationship with someone if there wasn't that strong feeling of trust and
and
I don't know.
For overthinkers, I think that it also just takes time. Reassurance, communication, just like knowing what you guys are, not like keeping a tab on them 100. But
that's the thing, like, I've never looked at phones, any relationship I've ever,
neither have I.
That's weird.
We didn't have that, and it's like
if you asked to look at my phone, I would not trust you.
Honestly. And I think that it's a lot for a lot of people. They have trust issues from the past.
And I don't blame them. There's some crazy people. Like, some people are hurt,
and some people
that's
have had
rough.
bad relationships. That
I think I haven't had that. But
me either. So it's like, how can we really fully say that?
stomach does something, it's not you, it's your stomach doing it.
Yeah.
But if you think something, oh, that's me.
Yeah, literally, and you identify
most thoughts are subconscious processes, and then you intervene in and identify with them when you don't need to.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if you and your partner both know that, I think it's a very good thing.
Yeah, and that's why having spiritual roots can kind of help. But
yeah, it can help fight.
Again, you can have great attributes as a person without being spiritual.
Yeah, it's whatever your values are. Next question: how to make long distance work? So actually, we didn't even introduce ourselves. Like really, I forgot about that. But we're in a almost 3-year relationship. You realize that? I know, but
that's really crazy.
I know. I just thought about that recently. But
that's super crazy.
I live in Pennsylvania. He lives in Utah. So we've been long distance this whole time. We met at a music festival. Yeah, which is crazy. But so my advice on long distance. Everyone has different situations, things that they like and stuff, but what we do is we FaceTime every night and we watch shows together. We just if we're short on time, we just say goodnight at least. I think it's really important to hear your voice.
Yeah, every just be text.
Yeah, and it's to some people that might sound crazy, oh, every night, and it's sometimes we're busy and
just once a day.
Yeah, once a day, and it's it doesn't have to be this long FaceTime. It could be to say goodnight, and maybe sometimes we can't do that.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to talk every day.
For sure.
That's my standard with it.
And I think there needs to be a decent amount of you have to be seeing each other frequently. You can't go months without it. So with our situation, thankfully I have a lot of points with American Express and Delta, so we can make the travel back and forth, and I'm self-employed, you're self-employed, so our situation, those things alone makes it extremely easier than most people would.
Very true.
And you just have to have a ton of patience and understanding, and it's
respect.
pretty crazy. Yeah, respect. It's not easy.
Yeah, and it's because also miscommunication happens through text.
Yeah, a lot.
So that might be hard. That's why I think it's good, even though FaceTime itself is not the best because you don't have the body language, the person to person. But just the tips that I would give is FaceTime, talking every day, respect with each other's time. If someone's not texting back, they're probably busy. I don't know the situation, of course, but we just have to realize that we do have our own lives and just not to overthink so much. And I know it's easier said than done, but not to overthink so much.
It's easy to overthink.
Yeah, and
that's why you have to have someone you're comfortable with, that you have full faith in.
Yeah, exactly.
You could be doing whatever you want every single day. I would never even worry about it for a second.
Yep. So you have to have the trust, like we talked about, and I think you also have to have the being able to be vulnerable. And because in the beginning of our relationship, it was hard for me to be long distance. Hard as in I would overthink, not overthink what you're doing, but don't know when the next time I'm gonna see him is. Trying to just
a lot of stuff's up in the air. Always.
Yeah, it's in the beginning, it's oh, do you know if it's but so it's kind of hard. But I was always able to communicate my overthinking, and you accepted it. So just being vulnerable, communication, that is with everything.
Yeah, it's definitely the core of it all.
It's so important. But we can go to the next one. Next question is how to have a successful relationship. So I have another question that 3 most important things in a relationship, what you would say, so we can just kind of combine those and give our opinion on the most important things.
Like we were saying, communication, being vulnerable, and trust and respect. Those are the same thing, kind of. To trust someone, you have to respect them, and all that stuff. So I would say those are my top 3.
That's great. My top. I actually wrote them down. Communication, respect, and support.
Yeah, support.
like supporting one another in their own independent lives and respecting. I think that's really important.
Yeah, for sure.
Like respecting each other, respecting what you guys do and what we do.
I think the ultimate like core thing of a relationship is like your like frequency, like the way you carry yourself, the way you operate yourself, your goals, ambitions, values, like need to be in alignment with the person you're with.
Yeah.
Because if there's not alignment, eventually things just go separate ways.
Yeah, I think the values are also very important. Like we said earlier as well, like both of our spiritual values.
Yeah.
Respecting that, supporting that, and like kind of like feeding off of each other.
For sure.
I think it's good to have like core things and just also respecting each other's time, because I know in a lot of relationships people don't respect each other. Number one, name calling. Number two, not respecting each other's like independency as well.
Yeah, with like fast replying and
like
and sacrificing friend time and all that stuff.
So I think it's good to like have independent lives, and I think long distance gave us that as well.
You need to be structured as an individual first.
Yeah, and I think because
I feel like a lot of people aren't. They're like broken from past relationships, or they're not on steady ground themselves with their own confidence or with their own
self-love and
goals.
stuff.
Yeah, self-love.
Yeah.
Like the more solidified you are as a person, the more you guys can come together in a healthy way.
I love that, because also, like in my other video I said, if you don't love yourself and you have a void within, you're gonna search for people to fill that void, but it's never gonna really fulfill it. Like you need to give yourself that and be whole.
Yeah, that's not the person's job, honestly.
Yeah, because
like, obviously, like help the person heal that you're in a relationship with, but I think it's your job to figure out your issues and the things that you need to work through.
Yeah.
Because you're the best person to do it, but like you also can heal in a relationship so much. Like so much.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
I think there is certain foundational things that you have to have in place before you guys can heal together.
I agree, and I think that that's why everyone should work on self-love, should work on healing themselves, and I think a lot of that has to do with like spirituality and stuff, but because then it's like you can't really heal in the relationship, or you'll attract people that are not right for you.
That's the biggest part of it.
Yeah, and I think to attract your soulmate, like you have to have some level of healing.
You have to be you.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be a broken you healing the highest potential relationship. Like it doesn't.
Yeah, I agree.
You're not at a frequency level that's going to resonate with the best relationship. You're down here. You need to rise up before you can
on your own
find that.
Yep, I love that, and that's like kind of what I did before meeting you.
Yeah.
Like focus on self-love, and that was the year I read The Power of Now, and like really just got strong in my spirituality. So yeah, I think that's how to attract your soulmate. Just love yourself, honestly, and then
just be yourself and do the things you like.
Yeah.
Because then you're operating at your true frequency, and then you can easily find people that resonate with that.
Yep.
Because you naturally will come across them.
I love that. Alright, next is how to be confident and secure when you're not with them. So I think we kind of just like a little bit went over this.
Are these questions people asked?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. But it's I didn't do it recently, like I did it a while ago. And I got 19 questions and I put 10 of them. So how to be confident when you're like not with each other. My opinion. So in the beginning of us, I did not have my YouTube channel. So I was not busy,
yourself in a state where your cup is overflowing.
Yeah.
So you can then constantly fill the other person. Like, two people with overflowing cups can constantly build and grow and have an amazing relationship.
Yep.
Like, one person isn't dependent on the other person
for
happiness or for anything.
Yeah.
Like, two healthy individuals is when the best relationships come together.
Very true. So, like, most of this advice that we're saying is practically love yourself. Like, really try to find things that you love, because then when you're in the relationship, and also if you do what you love, it gives you confidence.
Yeah, true.
Like, yeah.
Just raises your frequency, everything.
Yeah, so it will just be a healthier relationship if you do that. And just communicate a lot, be vulnerable, and you both have to be spiritual. So we actually already went over this.
Yeah, I think we went over that.
Yeah, so
I think you just have to be at the same level.
Yeah.
Of whatever that level is.
Yeah, and not one last thing, but you can heal a lot in the relationship. Jordan has taught me so much and has helped me heal so much. So always remember that a partnership is, you're meant to grow together, evolve together, and I think you should look at it as that rather than I also think the right person, this is kind of going off track, but the right person will make you want to grow.
Yeah, for sure. They'll bring the best out of you.
Yeah, and so yeah, I don't know if that aligned with the question, but I think
it does.
You both have to have like the spiritual value and kind of have the same viewpoints in that. But
like, you can be opposites in a ton of things, but not with values.
yeah, not with deep core values.
It's never good.
Yeah. Alright. What to do if you fight? So we also, these questions kind of align.
Yeah.
Like the first question is how to communicate when you fight. But let's just go over this one more time because it's really important. The one thing, always resolve it. Always resolve it. And I recommend, like I said, everyone's different, but I do recommend resolving it that day.
Yeah.
And then just staying beside each other. I heard that divorce rates go up when the person starts sleeping on the couch or like starts separating.
Yeah, because then you're thinking like all the things that you want to say to that person, you're not actually communicating it. It's just planning these thoughts of like, if we got in a fight, like, oh, she doesn't understand me, she has no clue what I'm going through. I can't believe she said that. I can't believe she did this.
Yeah.
She's this type of person. She's that.
And then just
you have these identifications with who that person is now.
Yeah.
And then anytime you're in another argument, those are just refiring in your head.
Exactly.
And they'll bring up old past stuff, and then you're just done. You're just in a loop.
And it's never good. The credentials are not there. If you're bringing up past things, it should already be resolved. You shouldn't have to bring up things from the past. You have to be in that moment.
Like holding it against them because it wasn't resolved.
Yep. You have to be in that moment of what the argument is, or else like it's just gonna keep building on, and then that, I think a little bit that causes divorces, a build up of things. So make sure you resolve it, and it might be hard, but lay beside each other, hug for a minute, like you said, and just really try to kill your ego.
Yeah,
because
that's a big one.
It's gonna be worth
Pride.
it. Yep, it's gonna be worth it if you just.
Another quick thing is, I can't remember where I read this, but viewing relationships that you have with anyone, whether it's friends or a romantic relationship, like a bank account, and you each are putting in withdrawals or deposits.
Yeah.
So if I do something rude to you, it's like I'm withdrawing money from that account.
Yeah.
And some relationships are strong, like very instantly they're built with like a high cash value.
Yeah.
But if you keep withdrawing, eventually it gets to zero, and that person's like done with you.
Interesting. Yeah.
So you need to make sure you're depositing more than you're withdrawing.
Good. Yeah, I love that.
You need to make sure you're giving more than you're taking in relationships with like not being toxic and being understanding and doing loving things that build up that
little things
bank account.
Yeah, that's a really good one. And the little
that's
things.
What builds the trust. That's what builds the confidence. It's like how much money you have in that account.
That is so. I never thought of it like
that.
It's
a really good one.
Really good. Alright, and I'm gonna share one thing. It's a Kabbalah concept, and Kabbalah is like a Jewish mysticism. You can search up exactly what it is, but I took an introduction course and everything, and it's like really spiritual. And a lot of people might get triggered by this in the beginning, but treat your partner as if you still have to earn them.
Yeah.
People think, people go on autopilot the longer they're in relationships, because you feel like, oh, you already got them already.
Expect things.
Yeah, you already have them, so it's like you're not gonna lose them. But in the beginning of a relationship, you would do these little things, these little tags, these little things, because you still didn't have them yet. So you would go out of your comfort zone, do little gestures. Yeah, that's what I meant. But in a relationship, you should always be doing this. You should always be doing little gestures, because you don't know if you always have them. So, not like earning them, like in a bad way.
Just choosing them every day.
Yeah, choosing them.
Like if you had the option of them or someone else every day, you just choose them every day.
Yeah. So I think I love that concept so much. But, alright, and the next few questions we kind of already went over, because I think since you're here, like, we're building on top of it and answering other questions that I had.
Within the same question.
Yeah, so like the overthinking, how to not overthink. I am not sure if we fully did go over that one, but I guess we actually kind of did. About like how to be confident, secure in relationships, communication, and everything. I'm an overthinker, so I get it, but I think just not viewing your thoughts as you and just communicating maybe what happened in the past, why you have these feelings, and being vulnerable and just accepting the other person as well. And tips for a healthy relationship, already did that.
Yeah.
And so we only have one last question, and this is actually someone asked this in a community post.
Oh, cool.
They asked, I said like tips or ideas for podcast episodes, and they said time management and balance of relationships while pursuing your goals.
That's a good one.
It is a good one. And I was gonna say I'm still figuring it out, but because me and Jordan are long distance, when we're separate, we do all the things to pursue our goals.
Yeah.
When we come together, it's kind of an adjustment.
Yeah,
because
at first it is for sure.
Yeah, and because it feels like a vacation a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I think just kind of having time slots, really.
It's so situational. Like me
Yeah.
being self-employed, I work 24/7 basically. Like I don't have a time where I go to work.
Yeah.
Issues just come up and you just kind of solve them when they do. So my situation's
Yeah.
situation's different than what like most people are going to be going through that have jobs. Like if you have a job, obviously right when you get done with that job, you're probably going to be a little dead, a little
Yeah.
tired, drained. Like I think you need to have like a separation where you can wind down, have like self-care, play video games if that's what you like
Yeah.
do some skincare routine stuff, like
Yeah.
go get the food you like, lay down, watch a show.
Yeah.
So you're like when you're with that person, you're in a good energy state.
Yep.
Like
That's a really good one.
that's the biggest thing for me, is not to like compartmentalize.
Compartmentalize.
That's the word.
Yeah.
Like it is good and it isn't at the same time. Like I think it's good to have specific work time.
Yeah.
To have specific like this is like my wind down time. Like I could tell you like I'm winding down. Like
Playing video. Yeah. And just
I'm just gonna
respect
be
it.
me for a second.
Yep.
And then have your guys' time together and stuff.
And that kind of goes with the respect thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you're pursuing something, I should respect and support you as well as me.
Yeah, like if someone has a crappy day at work, like you're not gonna want to be around me if I'm in that energy. Like,
Yeah,
I
like-
need to have a second.
Yeah. And we all have different ways of, like, self-care. And,
For sure.
yeah, I guess respecting that as well as maybe do things together, like watch a show, watch a movie.
Yeah, like the whole love language thing. Like
Yeah.
a big thing is understanding what does that person care about, what are their
Yeah.
priorities, and
True.
making some sacrifices to make sure you're expressing love in the way they like it,
Yeah.
not the way you like it.
Yep.
Like
That's
if you
really,
like
really
love in a
good.
certain way,
The
I
five
need
love
to
languages.
cater to does give money to the account, what fills the relationship and all that stuff, so you can kind of have an assessment of what you're doing.
Yeah.
If it's received the way you think it is.
Yeah, I love that. And I have a video on Cupid Teaches You the 5 Love Languages. If you want to go watch that, you can.
Yeah, love language stuff's big.
Yeah, because mine's
like psychology, like it's not even spiritual stuff, like it's just...
Yeah, and there's like 5 specific ones. I think that's a really good way to put it in the bank account. I love that. Yeah. Like the giving and withdrawing. And another thing is just kind of like number one, I'm always thinking Liz. Number one, always having like quality time, like date nights, always making time for that, because I don't know your situation.
Forced.
Yeah. I don't.
Something you both enjoy.
Yep. Exactly. And I don't know your situation specifically, but if you have the 9 to 5 and like let's say she has the 5 to 11 or something like that, and you don't see each other, set aside time for the weekend, set aside time, have time slots of when you spend time together. Like me and Jordan might work all day, but we still watch a show at night. So pursue your goals, respect the person's goals, support their goals, support their needs, and just communicate, your thoughts and feelings and what you need exactly.
I think overall the best way to easily sum up having a healthy relationship is based on your ability to be conscious with the situation you're in, the situation they're in, and how you can best maneuver things. Like, the best thing you could do is have in your tool belt, essentially, something that can help with each issue, and you can go in and fix things and work. Like, nothing's going to be perfect. Like, you have to build a foundation to have a perfect relationship. And
very true.
You have to be able to change and adapt and be conscious and understanding. And it's like you paint a painting. Like, you start off with an idea and you just go and kind of let it take itself. Like, you have to be able to make decisions based on what's happening.
Based on what's happening, not something that has happened in the past.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's another thing. A lot of unconscious programming can come up in relationships.
I feel like especially with kids our age, because their parents are divorced.
Yeah,
they've already had a horrible relationship.
They've seen,
and nobody knows what like good love looks like.
And it's
other than a movie. It's just completely fake.
Literally. So that is it for the questions.
I think that covers a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I think so too. And kind of to sum it up in some words: respect, communication, support, consciousness, being conscious,
understanding, accepting.
I notice a lot of my overthinking stems from something that happened in the past, and it's like I'm not going to project that on you. So I have to work through that and then communicate my thoughts of what is happening with it.
Projecting yourself.
Yeah, because
like if I'm angry with myself and I put that on you, that's my issue. That's not something you can help me with.
Yeah, and that's disrespecting as well. Like if I just project all my anger of things that have happened and blame.
That's not good.
Jordan is not a blamer. If we're in any argument or something's happening, he's like, and then I like blame myself or something. He says like, no, it's fine. This is just what's happening. Like, it's not a blaming or a, it's just what is happening, and you just accept it as is and try to navigate through that.
One last thing, like if someone is projecting and someone is blaming and doing those things, I think it's your job as the other person to cut that quick and not let disrespectful behavior happen.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, I don't put up with that.
Yep.
Like instantly, like I will not let certain things fly at all. Like, and that's like a thing of having like standards. Like, you do have to be accepting of everything, but if something crosses a line that's like a very big one for you, like the name calling or something like that, then you need to set it straight instantly.
And have non-negotiables.
With like deep energy of like, no, that we're not doing that.
Yep.
I will not put up with that for a second.
Yeah, that's good.
I think that's really big.
Because then the other person will be like, oh yeah, you're right. Like the other person, no matter their anger and they hear that, they'll be like, oh. And they probably will feel uncomfortable that they probably shouldn't have done that. And then it kind of like, the ego, it feels like the ego gets a little bit of a hit when that happens. And then it's like, okay, now let's work through it.
Yeah, like, just you have to go back to being understanding and all that stuff.
Yep.
But if you don't set up strong boundaries like that, like the relationship just, there's no ends of what you'll do.
Yep.
You'll just eventually, after your 500th argument,
yep.
you'll start calling names, you'll start doing this.
Yeah.
Some people, physical abuse, like crazy stuff, over long periods of time.
Yeah.
If you don't set that boundary, like, who knows?
Yeah. So I guess, like, another word, communication, support, self-love, respect.
Yeah.
Oh, self-love.
Yeah.
Like, just knowing your worth and just knowing when you don't want to take it. But, yeah, that was really good.
I think we covered a lot of really good key elements.
Literally. I mean, kind of all the elements. Any other question, you can kind of take the things that we have said into them. Probably,
Yeah, for sure.
I really hope this helped, and I really hope you enjoyed.
Comments, questions, and stuff.
Yeah, what resonated with you? Let me know. Your situation, maybe.